You know, I'm kinda sick right now, but you know what's been keeping me going? The blood of the homeless people buried in my back garden. But apart from that, old video games.
Let me make one thing clear. I love being able to play old games from my childhood, from systems long past their sell-by date, games that feel different from ones that come out today. But I hate emulators. I hate being filled with the excitement to revisit my past, only to find out that past is full of horrible texture errors, misaligned bloom, out-of-date wiki pages, and very entertaining Discord conversations. My personal favourite is the interaction from Discord user Bobby Longdick123, who says hello, posts a screenshot, and then simply asks the question, why? A man of few words.
Emulation is the bad bitch that does you wrong, but that ass so fine, you keep going back. There you go. Is that relatable enough? Is that going to keep the kids in? Keep the Zoomers in? If I say some Nicki Minaj quotes, will that get people watching? You know what the real wet ass is for me? Suikoden on the PlayStation 1.
PlayStation was my past. I was born in the year of the PlayStation 1, went to primary school when the PS2 came out, joined high school when the PS3 was released, started university at the conception of the PlayStation 4, started losing my hair when the world was graced with the PlayStation 5,
and I'm sure by the PlayStation 6, I'll be hitting menopause.
But I have fantastic memories in every aspect of Sony Computer Entertainment's history, and so every now and again I will go on an Indiana Jones-esque adventure. Much like Indy, I believe in preservation. I'm also afraid of aliens and think the Nazis are bad. And also like Indy, I am sure used to disappointment on my adventures. I can relate to the feeling that comes with realising the Ark of the Covenant isn't just bountiful treasure, it also melts faces.
Someone's been at me cheese.
It's very similar to the disappointment of realising that Ultimate Spider-Man on the PS2 will melt everyone else's face.
I can explain the hole in the butt, by the way.
There is hope, however. While the world of video game history is full of melted faces and papier-mâché corridors, there are 3 emulators that will be our best bet to success. It may result in pristine feats of programming that sends us back in time, or nightmarescapes of polygons, primed to easily dispatch any foolish epileptic reckless enough to lay their eyes upon the screen. Duckstation, PCSX2 and RPCS3 are the prime emulators for PlayStation 1, 2 and 3 respectively.
And let me tell you this, just to maybe remind me more than anyone else, it's going to be a bunch of bullshit.
I love tinkering and getting the most out of hardware. I built my first computer in 2014 and have contributed to RPCS3, done a month-long AI upscaling project, have made quite a few Steam guides and many wiki entries in my time, let me tell you.
But that's not because it was fun. That is because I despise fiddling with shit. I just spat everywhere. I just want stuff to work.
Well, warning boys and girls, apart from Duckstation, shit ain't just gonna work. If you want to play games like on your console, where you plug things in and stuff just works,
nope, that ain't happening.
Emulators are projects. To actually get anything out of emulators, you need to put just as much in as nearly everyone else. And let me explain why. Because throughout the last month, I have fallen down a polygonal rabbit hole, so deep, so full of hatred and frustration that if I have to figure out why RPCS3 has crashed one more time,
I am going to go to the toilet and urinate up into my own face.
Genghis Khan, Pol Pot, Hitler, Bluetooth connectivity problems.
Oh, and by the way, for anyone who thinks I'm a lazy boy who expects this to work first try, let me reassure you
that I started contributing to RPCS3 back in 2020, including custom assets, lots of Wikipedia help, and I'm also the type of person who spent 4 straight days painstakingly reconstructing the PlayStation 1 box art covers that I couldn't find on the internet, to the point where the assets I've made are now the most accurate you can find on the internet, citation needed. I scanned far and wide, colour correcting, balancing, saturation exposure, removing imperfections, all that, so it was so close to as brand spanking new looking as you can get, and even made custom box covers from games that are part of multi-disc collections that never even had their official art.
So bitch, come at me.
Duckstation. I have no idea why it's called Duckstation. Much like ducks, perhaps this program is a cute little thing that mostly does what you want it to.
In saying that, I think ducks have spiral penises and are very prevalent rapists. So, bad example. Not sure I'd want a whole station dedicated to them, now that I think about it.
Anyway, Duckstation is actually the dream I originally expected emulation to be. Stuff just actually works. Stuff works so well that the wiki for Duckstation is but a barren wasteland because no one has any issues to look up. Games scale beautifully. You can keep the classic PS1 dithering, scale it to your resolution, or turn it off altogether. A feature that I really love, because some games I like to keep sparkly and clean, while others I think prefer the crunchy look of pixel acne, like Silent Hill.
It also utilises something called PGXP, which stands for Polygon Good Extreme Performance.
It doesn't, I made that part up. It stands for Precision Geometry Transform Pipeline and uses programmer magic to decrease or stop the infamously jittery polygons of the original PlayStation. Not all games work with it, but some work fantastically, and an entire playthrough of Croc, Legend of the Gobos, showed me exactly what I was missing out.
Also, by the way, I finally played and finished that 22 years after I first touched it when I was 4 years old. Which is it's just nice, you know. It's quite, and it's fun as well, you know. Once you get around the controls, and it's got the word "gobos" in the title, which is funny. It's a funny word. But when he tail whips people, it goes "ksplat, kapo" like that. It's a pretty good impression as well. "Ksplat" like that. It's cute. Cool game. Check it out.
But once again, you have choice. If you enjoy the aesthetic of polygons who haven't had their insulin after dinner, you can leave it off. Duckstation also has integration with a website called Retro Achievements, which is a service that I never knew I cared about, but I love the implementation. Just like trophies or any other achievement system, it tracks game progress and gives you classic gamer points to match your gamer prowess. But Jordan, can't you just use save states and emulators? Surely you can just cheat? Well, yes, but if you enable hardcore mode, you get twice as many gamer points and can't use save states, so it's a pretty fun little challenge. And also I found that having a way to track my progress through old school games is a surprisingly pleasant little way to look back on my adventures. And there's a global leaderboard for everyone to compare their gamer penises, which I think is a great feature that every achievement or trophy service should be using.
I mean the leaderboard thing, not the penis thing. Jordan, stop making your life harder by saying shit you're going to have to edit out. Gamer penises, what is that? Anyway, hey, sexism, gamer vaginas as well. I'm sure they're just as fucking disgusting.
Then there's PCX2. Now, admittedly, the emulator has come a long way.
But in fairness, so did Forrest Gump, and by the end of the movie, his brain still wasn't tournament ready, if you know what I mean.
When I first touched PCX2 back in 2015, I think basically every Sony first-party title I touched had problems. Some big, some small, some that were very distracting. Ratchet Gladiator looked a mess. Jak 2 reset itself to the Japanese language option on reboot for some reason. And in general, if the game didn't crash, it probably had visual bugs so bad you'd just rather not play it. That kind of still is the case, to be honest, but with the improved UI and automatic game settings, it is a lot easier to troubleshoot, and when things do work, it makes me feel very warm and fuzzy inside. The creator of Duckstation recently started working on PCX2 and implemented his own UI, moving the 20-year-old emulator away from this hideous piece of virus-looking software to something that looks fairly professional. Not only is it way, honestly, I cannot emphasize enough, way easier to use now, but because it has menus designed for humans, you're a lot more likely to actually solve problems that come up and not just call it a day because you can't be bothered learning another language to troubleshoot Ape Escape 2. Unlike PlayStation 1 emulation, however, this is where you're going to drift further away from playing games without a care in the world and become more of a QA tester than anything else. Even though PCSX2 can often feel like it's been held together with tape and gamer tears, it has been around for long enough that if you look hard enough, you can find some great resources, like this massive list of 60 FPS patches that amazingly just work and allow me to play the TAC games, you remember these, in 60 FPS. After days upon days of what I can only describe as computer bullshit, you can smash rocks together every goddamn day of your life, and at no point are you gonna one day try to smash the rocks together and the rock is gonna say, oh, sorry, there was a connection error, a syntax error, Getting these patches together and watching my back catalogue run just fine at 60 FPS made me so happy. And then there's RPCS3, which is kind of the golden boy of the emulation community nowadays. Back in 2014, PS3 emulation was almost dead. Most games were broken or barely in-game. Then someone thought to start a Patreon, make a proper website and wiki. Next thing you know, PS3 emulation is making new strides every month, has fantastic online presence, the most slick looking website and wiki I've ever seen, and by far and away the most comprehensive, professional and easy to use top tier user interface of literally any piece of emulation software I've ever seen.
It's so good it kind of makes everyone else look like a joke, to be honest. And by everyone else, I mean the other two in this video, because there's like Seamu's quite a good emulator, and Dolphin, everyone likes Dolphin, but Dolphin's really ugly. And also I never played a GameCube growing up, well I did a little bit, but it's just the buttons are weird. There's like 2 triggers and then 1 shoulder button, so it's weird.
But following the pattern, very much how PS1 emulation is almost perfect, PS2 is shaky but playable, PS3 emulation is still very much a house of cards. See, for the last 4 days, dealing with this stuff, I've just been full of fucking piss and vinegar. See, if you took a blood sample right now, it would come out yellow. It is possible, and often quite fantastic when it does work. RPCS3 has utilities to automatically download patches made by the community to unlock frame rates, change effects, and generally improve dozens of video games. Well, technically speaking, that is, there is no patch to make Metal Gear Solid 4 story make sense and not be 9.5 hours of Snake being old and upsetting a small girl over eggs. With the work of patch creators, I've been playing Resistance Fall of Man in 60 FPS, and it's been fantastic.
Well, the game's alright, but like the experience overall, it was great. You know, it was like going back to, it was like having your mum's cooking, but your mum can't cook, and it's like, it's mashed potato, but it's literally just boiled potatoes that have been mashed, so they're fucking flavourless, they're shit. But it's like, oh, your mum made it. It's just, oh, it's nice to be back here. My mashed potatoes are 60 frames a second.
But as it stands right now in RPCS3, things can be so hit and miss that you will often feel like there are goblins trying to rip apart your PC from the inside.
And that's where we get into the problems. Where do we start? Well, number one, Duckstation is a software ghost town.
In what was either late 2019 or early 2020, someone going by the name Stenzek started a new PS1 emulator called Duckstation and was instantly celebrated for being very well coded and having a usable interface unlike literally anything else programmers usually make. Well, long story short, nerd drama happened, and now Duckstation is no longer open source like it used to be, meaning you can no longer contribute to the GitHub page. So, that means if you're a programmer, you don't get to look at the code and try to improve, but more importantly for everyone else, there is no support anywhere.
You can't report a problem, or make a suggestion, or ask why the UI is scaled up 1,000,000,000% for some reason.
There is no web presence either, no subreddit, no Discord, barely a wiki, all links go to nowhere. And I'm just getting started.
You can't bundle multi-disc games into folders, so your home page ends up looking like this mess.
All my memory cards have disappeared from the drop-down menu. Who stole my memory? I would like an answer, please.
Okay, so it turns out the memory card thing was Google Drive. Don't fucking use Google Drive to back up your safe stuff, because it changes the folder permissions, and suddenly no shit can be read or changed. And then, isn't this nice and ironic, the very act of me trying to back up my data fucked up all my data, because even if I moved the data, like copied folders and stuff, those folders still had the same permissions. So for RPCS3 in particular, I spent literally hours recreating folders and moving each item one by one. Thanks Google Drive, you fucking piece of shit. Okay, next point, thank you.
The wiki page was so bare bones and poorly formatted, I literally spent an entire afternoon fixing it. Before this, to get to the compatibility database, you had to click on the PlayStation logo in the middle of the screen? Whose idea was this? It's a wiki page, not a LucasArts adventure game. I'm a normal human being, so I use words and logic, and now you don't need a Prima game guide to navigate the homepage.
Okay, and PCX2 has this problem as well, and I really wish I could code, just so I could fix it myself and then just rub it in everybody's face that I fixed it. It's the sentence.
Both Duckstation and PCSX2 allow you to assign per game settings to individual games, and you would think, naturally, that the global settings and the per game settings are the same.
Well, they're not, because of course they're f***ing not. That'd make sense. Thanks, programmers.
RPCS3, that has easily the best UI here, has the global settings and the per game settings look exactly the same. Because of course they do. Why would you make two menus that do the same thing look different? Well, both Duckstation and PCSX2's global and per profile menus look completely different from one another. It's like you're in a restaurant and you have one menu that's organised into categories of chicken, fish, red meat, and then there's another menu that's grouped into small, medium and large size meals, and they almost have all of the same items on them, but they're just rearranged differently.
Why is this a thing? You know what, I'm going to design rage a little bit for a second here, please. Okay. So,
in Duckstation, if you go into global settings and want to stop your game jiggling about like your mama's fat ass, you go into enhancement settings, PGXP, and tick whatever boxes you want to, right? You'll be here a lot because different games will or won't work with different settings, right? So you think, screw it, I'll just do it per game. But no, sir. If you wish to dine from the in-game menu, you either go into the user settings, graphics, then enhancements, and then tick stuff here. But no, that's not even all the settings we just looked at. The rest are in the compatibility tabs at the end. And no sir, you do not hit a checkbox to toggle it on and off like you did earlier. All the options here are seemingly random choices to disable or force on options.
why is this such a mess? It's like, mate, you gave me the meal. You gave me the meal, the beautifully braised duck and black peppercorn sauce, and then I asked for more potatoes, and then instead of just giving me the menu and saying, oh, what type of potatoes would you like, sir? You went, well, actually, I'm going to have to get her root vegetable, spherical, oblong, slow digesting carbohydrate menu, sir, if you wish to, yes, if you wish to eat from that menu. Just give me the old fucking menu. Why are you such a wanker about this? Never going back to your restaurant. The duck was dry. Hey, Duckstation, that was by accident, that was good.
On top of that, both menus don't contain all of the same options either. So is one PS2 game quieter than the others and you'd like to boost the volume? Well, you can't, and I don't know why. Another one, you might notice the per game options, the checkboxes are filled in with these little grey squares. What do these grey squares mean, Geordie boy? These tell you that they are set as the same option for the global settings.
Hey kids, have you spotted the problem yet? No.
Is this grey square on or off? Exactly. This is possibly the most ironically useless piece of user interface in existence. You have no way of knowing whether the option is on or off, meaning you may as well just enable it manually, making our little grey square the most useless, grey, polygonal piece of shit to ever grace my screen. Not done yet, so I thought PCSX2 didn't have per game controller profiles. So you could create different ones globally, but you couldn't select them per game. Kind of absolutely useless, right? So I made a very well worded post on GitHub explaining why this is silly, and requested for it to be put in with pictures and mockups and all that. The responses from the contributors themselves were confused whether or not PCX2 actually had this feature, and then Stenzek, the creator of Duckstation and the guy who made the UI for the emulator himself, replied saying per game controller profiles were already a thing in PCSX2.
And to my surprise, it is, under a completely random menu.
Summary. It's under summary. Why the fuck is it in summary? Hey, L editing Jordan here. Can you even see what I'm talking about? It's right there. Yeah, that, right there. Would you have noticed that, unless I pointed it out? No, because it's dumb. Yeah, I know I'm being a salty bitch about it, but it's awful design. So I said, okay, well maybe we should organise it in a sensible way so people can find it. And Stenzek responded saying, well, I think it would be kind of silly having a toggle for one setting. Now, I'm a polite boy, so I said, all right, I see, fair enough.
But in my heart, I am screaming, yes, but if the setting is for controllers, maybe you should put under a menu titled fucking controllers, you idiot. Okay, calm down. It's annoying, but calm down.
And this perfectly exemplifies the biggest issue with emulators, the design. Because all emulators started as challenges for programmers, but programmers aren't designers. They're programmers.
They're like plumbers. They know where to put all the pipes so your poo-poo doesn't flow into the hallway, but they don't know how to make the bathroom look good.
And the most frustrating part is the programmer never thinks it's designed poorly. because they understand it. But of course they understand it. They made it.
It's like you've invited someone over to your house and they've asked where the toilet is, and you've responded with, you don't know where the fucking toilet is. Fucking noob. Mate, I don't live here. Do you want me to shit in the carpet? No, well then point to the right door.
And that's the reason my hair is falling out, because most emulators are made up of just programmers, and they know how to program. They do not know how to design. Go over to RPCS3, however, and baby, now you're talking. You've got people working on UI and user experience, and it shows because it's sleek and it makes sense. If you need to know something about RPCS3, you can go in the wiki, and guess what? It's probably there. I mentioned there's great 60 FPS patches for PCSX2. Guess what's not on the PCSX2 wiki? 60 FPS patches. I found out on the original PCSX2 forum, and I don't know about yous, but old school internet forums have always confused the shit out of me. They suck. They are so horribly designed. It's a forum where you can only track one topic through an entire string of back and forth messages with no real way to navigate. It's literally the equivalent of scrolling through 8 years worth of WhatsApp messages. So I found a thread that was started 6 years ago, and it has 70 pages of people still requesting further patches, even though the talented, fantastic gentleman who created these patches disappeared off into the desert with all his secrets many years ago. And you know me, trying to be the helpful boy I am, I found out what I could about patches and how to make them through literally random conversations that were years old, sprinkled throughout the internet. You have to have the investigative skills of Batman to figure some of this shit out. And I tried my best. I downloaded Cheat Engine and I tried to install it 3 times because Windows Defender thought I was downloading some dodgy hentai again. And I tried following the nice instructions someone left about finding hex codes and nopping. I don't know what to nop something is. I don't know if that's a spelling error or nerd speak, but I'm still none the wiser. And all I wanted to do was make a patch to turn off interlacing for iNinja, cause I really like that game and it's blurry as shit. But it didn't go well.
And all I can do now is hope someone more talented than me comes back and does it for me. Because this amount of investigating must be what Sherlock Holmes feels like when he's face deep in a cat litter box full of cocaine.
And RPCS3, well, it's a good example of a different kind of problem from all of that, but it's still not stress-free. RPCS3 is the most sleek and easy to use emulator. It feels like real software someone got paid to make and not a program you accidentally caught from a used needle, but it is also the most alpha of all the software.
And no, I don't mean it like the Joe Rogan podcast and calling people simps for using condoms.
A lot of games you are looking to play are going to be broken or significantly hard to run. Things have improved in recent years, but it's still an emulator, which means in the last month, literally every game that's marked as playable on the compatibility list has been locking up indiscriminately with absolutely no explanation. I noticed some of my games that went to a blank screen didn't on a new install, so I spent an entire day with a fresh install of RPCS3, moving over all my games, reinstalling all my patches, finding all my custom assets again. Even after that, games that did work before just don't anymore for some reason. And I don't know if that's because the newest build has regressed, or I'm stupid, or there's a driver problem, or little goblin people are shitting inside my computer, and it just went on and on and on. The problems were never ending.
It crashed.
At one point, my genitals stopped my controller from working. My penis is stopping the controller from working.
And then I wanted a break from it all, and so I sat down and put on the TV, and fan-fucking-tastic, the TV's broken now as well. And yes, before anyone asks, I'm pretty sure that's the emulator's fault as well. Apart from that though, it's pretty cool, I guess.
I am a perfectionist. And I don't mean like I'm neat and tidy and stuff, like clinically. It's horrible how much it gets in the way of my life. I procrastinate so hard, worry about so many things. It's one of the reasons why these videos take so long for me to make. But I am determined to make this shit better. I already spent 4 full days recreating PlayStation 1 box covers to make Duckstation look as professional as possible, editing wiki pages, coming up with new ideas to make things user friendly. optimising settings, finding patches. I have all these goddamn things to do. And I know it will take decades off my life, but I am going to do it purely out of spite. Spite for how much the inconvenience has pissed me off already.
But if you'd like to do it instead of me, I'd really appreciate it.
So, PlayStation emulation. An impressive and exciting foray into the technological history of the work of Sony Computer Entertainment, one that will allow millions to play games they would have never had the chance to experience otherwise. But more importantly, I never want to play a PlayStation game again.
Thanks for watching. And that is my story of emulation. I want to thank you for watching. If you have, maybe you've just skipped to this part because you like where I talk to the camera at the end of the video. I want to thank my new subscribers, the people who came off my previous video about the Jak and Daxter PC port, which did well, which is good. Are you the same as me? Do you get put off whenever you're just kind of thrown a roadblock and you want shit to work? Or do you think I'm being a wee bitch baby boy? But anyway, thanks for watching. Remember, like, subscribe, all that, bullshit, you know how it works. Remember, put your credit card information in the comment section below. Don't actually do that, that was a joke. And until next time, stay fresh, because I don't want a stinky viewer base. I don't want to be the guy with the smelly tramps in the comment. In fact, go get your right now, get it, come on.